All right. So for the mask demo, I've got everything laid out here. I did some things before class started to kind of save some time because some of you might be ready for the clay. So what you need to have finished and ready for the clay is your template, which remember is exactly to size and shape. So it's exactly the shape that you want. It has all the details that you need and things like that. Okay, because you're actually going to use this on the clay. So before we get to that, we have to prep the clay. So there's a couple different spots you want to check for clay, and we've got these bins down here. You guys notice those? Those have clay that basically we rehydrate using water in that room over there that you guys check out sometimes. So that will be the first spot you want to check for clay, is those two bins. If it seems too wet, like really too wet, then we will look either under this bag, if we've got clay from other hours. The last resort is taking new clay. If the clay down there is a little bit wet, what you can do is take like 50% the clay from down here and 50% new clay. Okay? Now, one thing you want to kind of think about in terms of size, I would say like a really, really big softball or mini basketball size of clay is pretty good. Because some of you have mask sizes that are a little bit different, but a piece this big should cover a mask that's roughly this size, give or take. Okay? Now, before we can roll it out like this, one thing we have to do is wedge the clay. Does anyone know what wedging the clay means?
Are we flat?
Well, no.
Mix it together?
Kind of mix it together. So what you do is it's like kneading dough. Okay, so maybe some of you have worked with making like pizza dough before or cookies or something like that. Kneading the dough means you're kind of mixing it together with your hands. So the easiest way to explain this is you press the clay away from yourself and then you roll it towards you, like this.
That was powerful.
Very powerful. And then every once in a while you can turn it like this so you aren't kneading the same spot. And when you get really good, like me, you don't even have to look. You're just like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing this weekend? Yeah? That sounds good.
Do you make pizzas or pies or something?
No, I haven't. I should though, should I?
Yeah, you make
Okay, so you'll need to do this for about a minute. Now, before we flatten it on here, what I want you guys to do is take the clay and kind of throw it just like this. You don't need to go throw it down hard like that, okay? This is going to get the flat, kind of the flat consistency of the clay that you want. The other thing to think about is the shape of your mask. Is it oval? So what I might want to do is kind of smush this so it starts to get a little more oval or like a longer rectangle in shape so that it matches this when I roll it out. So I've got that, and basically you're going to position that clay in between these two wooden pieces. Okay? And we've got the rolling pin to go along with it. And what you can do is position these about the same width as what your mask is. And basically you're going to lay this down, okay? You're going to roll it out so that you reach the height of these two wooden pieces. So it'll be a nice, even, what we call slab of clay. Okay? And roll it out big enough so that your mask design will fit on that space. And you can put your template right down on there. Now the first thing we do is we take some sort of a cutting tool. The two best ones, these are these needle tools. These probably work the best for cutting it out, but you can also use these as well, these wooden tipped ones. And the first thing you want to do is cut out the outside shape. So you're going to trace around your template. And we're going to cut out the outside design. We can kind of do one little spot at a time. We can pull this excess stuff away like that. How do you guys think we're going to add the other pieces? Any ideas?
Press down.
That's one way. What else can we do though besides pressing things down?
Add.
Yeah, we can add things too. So that's something to think about. We don't need these anymore. Is depending on what you want to do, you want to think about what areas you want to have. There's kind of three levels. You can have an area completely cut away, like it's open. You can see through it. Like the eyes might be something good for that. You could have areas that maybe are pressed in. So So like maybe this main part of the mask is lower, and then you can have areas that stick out. So make sure you have all three of those levels because we're making a sculpture. We don't want just a really flat piece of clay that just has little carvings in it, okay? So figure that out, and then the next step basically is you can use a pencil or you can use this needle tool. And what you're doing is you're tracing all of these interior details now. And you're applying enough pressure to where you can start to see it through the clay here. And you can even use the back side of this one. It's good too. No, I can't see it though. Your paper might work a little bit better. I have this laminated. I don't know if it's making an issue. I can see the mouth a little bit better there. All right, so basically what you're going to do is you're going to trace this entire area out so that you know where things are going to be located. Once you get things traced out, then what I can do is the areas that I need to cut away completely, like in this case it would be the eyes, I can go in with a cutting tool and I can cut those pieces out. Pop them out like that, okay? And then the areas that we need to be raised, like the nose, the paintbrush, the mouth area. There's a couple different ways you can have those areas stick out. You can just take clay and model it, which means you're just molding it. You're basically fashioning it using your fingers, and you can put it on there like that. So that's one way, modeling it. The second way is you can use these excess pieces, these extra pieces, and you can retrace, like let's say we want to retrace this paintbrush part of our top. I can retrace these things in the clay so that I know how big it needs to be. And this might be a better way to do it if you think you're not very good at like molding the clay. But it's up to you. I would try both. So what I can do is cut this out. It'll be the correct size. And then what I can do is I can attach it like that. And I'll still have to do some molding on that area. But already you can see we've got 3 levels going on. We've got cutout areas, we've got the main area, and now we've got a 3rd level that's sticking out. One thing, when you attach pieces, score, yep. So what you do is when you want to attach pieces together, you do kind of a crosshatch pattern on both pieces, the bottom piece and the top piece. And we don't need to use slip. What we can use is just water. So now what I can do is take some water, just put a little bit on there, and then I can put that down on top. And that's going to act like a suction cup and basically get those pieces to flow together. And now what I can do is use my fingers, and I can start to mold and shape these things the way I want. Like maybe the paintbrush tip, I want to stick out a little bit, and I want there to be a little bit of a divot here where the handle starts. There's a couple lines in this part of the metal piece that I can add in, like that. Okay, so you would start to build it up. Now, as you're working, kind of skip the step here. Once you get everything traced out, before you start building things and cutting things out, you actually want to put it on one of these platforms. And we just have a paper towel on top. And this is going to give it the nice round shape. So you would set it on here, kind of carefully press it down. And then from now on, you would work on this platform. So now, after you trace everything out, you could cut pieces out, add pieces on. And by keeping it on this until we're done, it's going to eventually hold that nice round shape. Yeah?
We want to cut it out on the surface or on the thing.
What's that?
You want to cut out everything and trace on that. On the surface or on the
I would trace everything on the flat surface because it's easier to trace when something's flat. But you can cut things out and add them when it's on this round surface. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay? When you're done, which it'll take a little while, okay? When you're done each day, basically, stay with me, guys. Okay? Couple things you need to do. You need to wet down your clay a little bit. Why? So it doesn't dry out, because clay will dry out. So there's two ways you can do that. You can take, I had a wet paper towel somewhere. I don't know where that went. Anyways, you can take a wet paper towel. Are we listening, Nick? Sure?
Yes.
Okay. You can take a wet paper towel and lay it on top of your mask. The second way you can do this is spray it with a little bit of water. Do not put too much water on there. If you put too much water, you're going to kind of a happy medium, like one spray or one damp paper towel. The next thing I would do is I would put your template underneath this after you put it in a bag. So we're going to put a bag over the top. Put a piece of tape. It says your name.
Your name.
Piece of tape with your name on there. Keep the template underneath like this, and then you'll keep it in the cabinet. Does that make sense? No, the cabinets that are on that side of the room, those big gray ones. Okay? Basically, that's it. Okay? The idea is this is a sculpture. So you want to make as many levels and textures, too. Don't make everything smooth. Make different textures as well. All right. You can hit